This episode of the Walt Vault podcast is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor is a completely free podcasting tool that allows you to create your very own podcast for no money whatsoever.
You know who should have a podcast? It's me, Yogi.
Oh my god, Gorgie, no, what are you doing here?
Yogi heard that people love his voice, so he wants to project it to the world on Apple Music, and iTunes, and Spotify, and Stitcher, and all the places where podcasts are distributed.
Oh my god, Gorgie, no, nobody wants to hear you talk.
Yogi can even make money on his podcast with the Anchor's free sponsorship program.
Wait, you're gonna get paid for this too?
Yes, and it's all possible with Anchor and their free creation tools.
Oof, okay, well, I'll bite. What's your podcast gonna be called, Gorgie?
It's gonna be Yogi Gets It. Available on all podcast platforms thanks to Anchor.
Well, you've heard it here first. Go to Anchor.fm to get started. Download the free Anchor app, and you can make your own podcast. Anchor. It's so easy, even Gorgie can do it.
Yogi!
Stephen Grant discovers he's been granted the powers of an Egyptian moon god, but he soon finds out that these newfound powers can be both a blessing and a curse to his troubled life.
Welcome to the Walt Vault with Andre,
Michelle,
Emily,
And Luis.
We are a family-friendly podcast where each and every week we watch and review a different Disney movie. Be sure to subscribe on all podcast platforms and YouTube. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to the Walt Vault episode 175.
yeah.
175.
175.
175.
Indeed, we are back once again. This week, we are talking about the brand new 2022 Disney Plus original Marvel series, Moon Knight,
yes.
starring Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke as the bad guy.
Oscar Isaac is the bees. And
Oscar
bees.
Isaac.
Oscar Isaac playing multiple roles in
Yeah,
Moon Knight.
multiple roles is correct. All right, so before we get into it, we're gonna do a Louis ask a question. I don't know.
All right, so, Khonshu. He's a little bit of a, is this a crack?
No, this is an episode.
Khonshu's a little bit of a not so nice person.
I mean, you could say what you want and then he'd bleep it.
I can bleep you.
So poor, Stephen Grant, his poor mind just sometimes needs a break. So, what would he be listening to lull Khonshu to sleep? Who, better yet, would it be Lana Del Rey or Lady Gaga?
What?
I feel like that's a
No,
rigged
but
question.
they're singing him a lullaby. Whose angelic voice will lull him to sleep?
That's a good question.
Yeah, see, I don't think Lady Gaga has a voice
They're
that
lulling them to
makes me
sleep.
go lulling to sleep. So, Lana Del Rey, listen, I know you, that really creepy song.
Her Dory singing.
Yeah, I think it's Lana
I feel
Del Rey.
like that's hard for them because we've listened to a lot of Lana Del Rey.
Right.
So, like, I would say her. But then, like, Lady Vodka.
Lady
Vodka.
Lady Vodka in the
That sounded like my
house.
girlfriend in college.
Hey, Lady Vodka, she definitely put me to
Lady
sleep.
Vodka.
Okay.
What's her
name?
Night,
Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
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 Lady Gaga also has a really pretty
Lady
voice.
Gucci.
I kind of wish you would have just let us pick someone and not gave us two randos.
No, well, choices are fun. Make a choice.
That's so fun.
Lady Gaga.
Okay,
or
well,
Lana Del
I mean,
Rey.
I don't think Lady Gaga would put me to sleep, so I'm going to say Lana Del Rey.
Vodka puts me to sleep, but
Well, yeah, we're not talking about the vodka, though.
yeah. Most of Lady Gaga's songs are pretty upbeat, and even if she's lullabying,
She's lullaby.
yeah, she got a lot of bravado. However, Lana Del Rey, yeah, she puts me to sleep on her regular jams, So I think she takes the cake on this one.
I agree.
same.
got the summertime.
I'm gonna go with Lady Gaga 'cause when she wants to get down like on a swanky thing, She's got the voice, man.
I thought we were talking about lullaby,
When
not
she
swanky.
wants to get down on a swanky
Well,
thing.
dude, if you ever listen to swanky jazz music, it's kind of lullaby-ish.
That's not true, but
Kinda.
kinda.
When they use that brush on the drums, you know
Very
it's
lullaby.
swanky.
There, my boy knows.
The brush
Now y'all know.
on the drum.
All right. I mean, considering the Fruit Yard had an entire country music concert last night, and I fell asleep at 7 p.m. and slept through it, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I
They
could
was
sleep
trying-
through
She
anything.
was trying to sneak you into country music.
She was
and you
trying to
didn't know.
sneak me in. No,
Wait,
I
who
did
was?
know.
Oh.
Ariel.
Ah,
Who was playing last night?
That was some country person.
It always is, and I always fall asleep.
somebody with a hat and a beard, probably.
Andre and I live
And a
right
hole in
next
a bucket.
to
It was a gal, but she probably had a
she
hat
also
and
probably
a beard.
had a hat at least.
at least a hat.
At least
And
a
she
hat.
must have had a hole in her bucket.
What?
Yep.
Stop. Nobody knows that joke but me and you.
Spurs on the boots. All right.
So we're gonna go ahead and go into our first impressions of Moon Knight. So the last Marvel show we reviewed was Hawkeye. So this one came out 6 weeks after Hawkeye? It wasn't that long.
It wasn't that long ago.
Maybe 2 months after Hawkeye.
Yeah, I don't think
Like-
it was 6 weeks,
This one
but
premiered at the end of March 30th, 2022.
Oh yeah, it hasn't been that long since
No, it has
like 2
not.
months. All right, so I mean, spoilers, I guess, if you haven't watched it.
Correct. If you
guys,
haven't seen Moon Knight, we will
because
be
it is a
spoiling
show,
it.
and we know people don't watch shows as quickly as movies. But it's only 6 episodes. You could probably go binge it and then come back and listen to this. So first impressions of Moon Knight, I was very, very excited for this because I love Oscar Isaac. He is the bee's knees. So I was just excited to see his acting in this and just in a different role than the Star Wars universe and stuff like that. I did not know who Moon Knight was. Andre had to do a lot of explaining for me because I was like, I don't even know how this is connected to Marvel. And it doesn't feel super Marvel-y to me. Like it does, but it doesn't.
Right.
But I really, really liked it and enjoyed it. I would say it's in at least like the top 4 of the Marvel shows. I don't know how many there have been
I'll look that up.
so far. But it is one where you definitely have to pay attention because it can be very hard to follow. So that can turn some people off from it. But I really enjoyed it. I liked like the fantasy aspect or how they tied it into history. And it was fun. I think my only gripe is that I wish he was Moon Knight more in it. Like I didn't get to see enough of him as Moon Knight. And I would have liked a smidge mo of that.
Smidge.
Just a smidge mo.
Just a bit of a smidge.
Luis.
I liked it a lot. I won't lie. I was a little bit disappointed because towards the end, well, not towards the end, but like about that, there was a few. You will talk about these scenes where I was like, dude, I'm gonna be so mad if he is really in this place we think he's
Right.
in. I'm gonna be so mad.
The ending, yeah.
So mad. It's gonna ruin the whole show for me.
Gotcha.
And then
well,
at
you know
the
how
end-
Luis is. He gets hung up on something, and then
Yeah.
it just ruins
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah,
thing.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, please let it be that because it's so interesting, and he's just
No, I don't mind if that's kind of happening in the context that it started off as.
Right.
But I thought it was like
Hallucination.
legit. No, you're there from day one,
He could have been.
thinking about all of this stuff in London and everything
But
else.
that's-
and
He
could have
then
been.
you
that's the
come back-
psychological
That's what they want.
aspect.
That's what they want you to think.
No.
He hates
He
psychological.
doesn't
I
like.
don't
He
hate-
doesn't like when shows take him for a trip and he can't predict it.
Yeah.
I think is the problem.
Well,
You like
I don't
to
think
predict.
The problem is I can't predict it because I just don't like it that it doesn't make sense in like the sequence that it's going.
Right.
It would have made
everything-
sense if they had done that.
that everything that we had seen had been like fake or not real up until that point.
Everything
I would have been happy
I've
with that.
seen seemed real.
Right. Exactly.
It's
You know?
because Luis was scarred from Lost. Okay. Not over it.
Oh,
He
fuck
was
off.
though.
Lost scars.
Blurt me, man.
I got you.
I hate that stuff. So.
Emily, first impression.
I really liked it. I disagree with both of you that I did not think it was hard to follow.
Oh,
I
did.
thought it was pretty.
Wait, I didn't say it was hard to
I wasn't
follow
talking to
that
you. I'm
point.
pointing to Michelle.
You said I disagree with both of you.
Yeah, and so I'm talking about what Michelle said, and I'm pointing at her. Put your hand down. He's getting
You didn't
real
put a
aggressive
comma.
with me.
You didn't put a comma.
You didn't let me finish a sentence.
You didn't put a pause before.
He needs a semicolon. Okay.
Yeah, that's what
Semicolon.
Yeah.
Okay. And I disagree with you. The psychological thing got me so happy. Like I'm hyped for that because I like to think that they got me.
Right.
I like to be like, ooh,
Got.
okay. I like getting got.
I mean, I like myself some Inception, but I want to know it's Inception from minute one. Don't just come out here
Then
and...
what's the point of
throw it
the
out
Yeah.
there.
What's the point?
The point of Inception, homie. Can you still trace Inception, Michelle?
No.
No, I'm saying, what's the point of doing that in a movie if it's not going to be surprising to you?
Yeah.
I
Anywho,
like surprises.
I think my
Probably
favorite
not.
part, but I can agree that I would have liked to see more Moon Knight, right?
Yes.
He
Yeah.
was cool. But Oscar Isaac, honestly, I don't know, his acting blew me away.
As
Yeah.
Steven.
Well, the whole
As
thing.
everybody.
I know, but he's my favorite. It's Steven.
Oh, well, and I'm over here like, he has to be British, right? And then I looked it up and he was like, not. And I was
No.
like, oh, you're
Nah,
American? Good.
Not American. Well, yeah, I guess he
Yeah,
was born
he is.
there.
No, he
Yeah.
was born here
born there.
just because he has like, fun roots.
Yeah.
But
Where was he born
yeah, I looked it up, remember? And that's why I was like, what you mean he's not British? So he has his accents down, okay? I mean, I would love to hear if someone from England thought he sounded
Right. I would
What do you
like to
call
hear
it?
somebody's
authentic.
opinion. Yeah.
But I did.
I thought it was good.
As an American, I thought
Right.
so. Anywho, his acting was just fantastic.
Yee.
And the bad guy was, you hated him so.
Oh,
I hated
Ethan
him.
Hawke.
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan
He did
Hawke.
a good
Yeah.
job.
He
Bringing
did.
it.
God, he was awful.
Bringing it all the way
I kept
home.
confusing them with what's that other guy name?
Kevin Bacon?
Kevin Bacon.
Bacon.
I
Big
don't know.
Lebowski.
Oh,
What's his name?
what is that dude's name? Jeff Bridges.
Yes.
Kevin Bacon.
Andre, first impression.
I think we just named two dudes who don't look like Ethan Hawke.
At all.
First impression, I like this show a lot. I had a lot of fun with the psychological twists and turns that this show took me down. And as has been said before, yes, Oscar Isaac carried this entire thing and took it all the way home. And I really liked the differentiations between his acting and him acting against himself and him acting against other people as different people, like the whole time, I think was pretty perfect. I probably could have done with a tad more Moon Knight as well within the show, just him
Can't
doing,
get enough of him,
doing a
man.
little bit more
He's cool.
vengeance seeking, crime fighting kind of stuff. But I don't think I was missing it too hard, because all of the other stuff that we got throughout the series, I was very happy with overall. So yeah.
Watching him do the different characters interacting with different characters was so brilliant.
Yeah.
That it didn't like downplay the non-Moon Knight part.
No,
Right.
it didn't. I just really liked seeing Moon Knight on the screen.
Oh,
I
he was
like,
cool.
Do it again.
Exactly.
What do they call them? Like Moon Knight Brothers? Like Starlight Brothers or something?
Huh?
That's Moon Knight and Mr. Knight.
No, him, Ghost Rider.
Oh, the Midnight Suns.
They're those guys.
Yeah, so in the comics, Moon Knight, he runs with a group of like dark and magic
Nightmen.
users. Yes, Nightmen. So it's like Moon Knight and Doctor Strange and Ghost Rider and a couple other magic users from the Marvel universe, and they team up and
Luis
fight
kept,
demons and stuff.
I think he kept getting what's that guy with the chains and the
Ghost
Ghost
Rider.
Rider.
Ghost Rider? I can never remember his name, and I see Nicolas Cage, and I'm
Robbie
just
Reyes.
so upset. And Robbie Reyes
Robbie
in
Reyes. In Agents of Shield.
Agents of Shield, which was the most amazing version, I think.
Yeah.
He kept getting vibes of that, and maybe that's why, because they all kind of ride together.
Yeah.
Similar.
I can see
It's
that.
very much like, you dying? Yeah. You need a spot? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I got you.
All
Call
right.
me next.
So there were 6 episodes, correct?
Yes, there were 6 episodes
So
in this.
what was
And they were pretty lengthy.
Yeah, I think each one ranged from 40 to.
Although I was worried because after the 5th episode, I was like, how are they going to wrap this up? So
Right.
I would say episode 6 wasn't like the best one because they had too much to wrap up at once. They could have made it 8 episodes. They would have had more time.
Flesh it out. Just
But I
a
feel like
little
they're
bit
only doing
longer.
6 for all the Marvel stuff, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
probably in 5 and 6 could have made a 5, 6, 7, 8.
Right.
Yeah.
And
for
even
sure.
if 8 was short, you know.
Yeah,
Anywho,
yeah.
go
But
ahead.
I think they are really set on like the 6 episode series for like the structure that they're going to do the Marvel shows.
Exactly.
All right, so episode 1 was titled.
Episode 1 was called "The Goldfish Problem."
Oh my gosh, that was so funny.
So we see Stephen Grant a British man
who I love.
who works at the
but
British
I was
Museum
not ready
in
for
London.
him to be talking in a British accent, though. I will
Right.
admit, because that wasn't on the trailer like at all. So when he
Yes.
started talking, I said, "What the hell's going on?"
That's another thing about the show. So I am familiar with the character of Moon Knight. Because
we watched some YouTube thing before.
Sure. But like even with my comic knowledge, there's only like one or two Moon Knight stories that I've read and really sunk my teeth into or whatever. So I only know him like kind of tangentially. So I wasn't sure which direction they were going to go with it in this series. And all the surprises did end up surprising me, I think. Like I don't think there was any aside from knowing from the jump that he had dissociative identity disorder.
Dudes.
Like I did know about that going in, but I wasn't sure what those identities were going to be like, or who they were going to be, or
I knew that going
what
in,
powers he would have, or
but
anything like
because
that.
you told me.
Right.
Can you
because
pause for
we
a
watched,
second?
like a YouTube thing.
So Luis, I don't want to say surprisingly like you're not super smart, but he from the get-go was like, well, Dids isn't just two personalities. It's usually three or more, right? So when he said that, the whole time he's like, there's going to be a third one. There's going to be like he was ready for that third one from like episode maybe 2 or 3.
That's just a split personality.
Yeah, the only reason I knew that there would be 3 is because we watched like a YouTube video that talked about
the history of Moon Knight
in the cartoons, like where his origin story, his whatever. Because I have a hard time going into a show if I don't know the character, like what to expect, and it's even harder for me to understand. And to keep from asking a million questions, it's easier for me to do that. So I knew about the third.
Adeline should take some pointers from you.
God.
That's what YouTube is for, okay?
Asked a lot of questions.
Oh, dude.
But so I had an idea that there would be 2 or 3 personalities as well. But like in one of the Moon Knight stories that I had read, he's running around as Moon Knight, and the other personalities that he has in his head are Captain America, Wolverine, and Spider-Man.
Shut up.
Oh, that's
So like
What?
they're informing his fighting styles and his decision making and stuff like that as he's going along, and it didn't have anything to do with like his alternate identities or anything like that. So yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Obviously,
So he was a superhero.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that completely, but I wasn't sure what to expect in terms of his
Do we even get
identities.
the second personality in the first episode or no?
Not fully. I think you see some mirror images and stuff like that.
Hold on.
You see him like
Hold on.
walking, and then the mirror image just stands there,
Right.
kind of a thing.
And you see him losing time,
Hold
right?
up.
That's a major problem.
You're asking, do we get to see the second personality, or are you trying to see,
Do we see Mark?
or
We
do we
didn't
see
see-
home personality?
What?
What?
Because the second personality is Steven.
Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying we're
Don't
gonna
count them.
No.
Just say
We're focused
you
on
see
Steven.
Steven in the first episode, and you don't really get Mark.
As the viewer, we think Steven is Steven. So
Right, yeah.
we don't know why he's losing time, why he's doing whatever. So go through this episode.
Yes, let's see here. So he works at the British Museum. He hopes to become a tour guide, but he kind of just works in the gift shop right now.
Bella thought he was a tour guide.
But he does have a ton of knowledge on ancient Egypt and the pharaohs and the hieroglyphics and all that stuff. We see that one night, after going to sleep one night, he wakes up in the Austrian Alps and witnesses a cult meeting led by Arthur Harrow, who demands a scarab Grant unknowingly has in his possession. As he attempts to escape, he has several blackouts and hears a mysterious voice in his head, waking up in his home. Grant realizes that 2 days have passed since he went to sleep. He finds a hidden phone and key card in his apartment and receives a call from the most frequent number in the phone's call log, a woman named Layla, who addresses him as Mark. The next day at work, Grant is confronted by Harrow, who reveals that he is a servant of the Egyptian goddess Amit. Grant escapes from Harrow but is forced to remain at work that night on his own to make up for being late. Harrow summons a jackal-like creature to attack Grant, but his reflection asks to take control of their body. Grant agrees, transforming him into a cloaked warrior who then kills the jackal. So yes, we do see Mark
At the end.
in the mirror.
We also see, what's the third one's called? Jake Lockley?
yes, Jake.
He's in that first one.
Correct. So like there are hints of Jake in there, right? So like in this first
It's
episode,
when he's in the snow. Where are they? When he sees Harrow
in
first?
Austria.
It's there because he like wakes up with the thing in his hand all bloody and everybody's dead. And Mark's not the one that does that. It's it's Jake.
That's true. But then also when he's at the museum, he runs into this girl that also works at the gift shop or something like that, and she's like, "Hey, I'm excited for our date tonight." And he's like, "Oh well, I don't remember asking you all on a date." And
Technically, Mark would not have.
correct, because Mark is married, right? So I don't
Jake,
think
yeah.
that was
So
Jake, I believe.
as we were going back and like watching recaps of things on YouTube, I
That
kind of
makes
want to watch it
sense.
again because Jake's in it throughout, but you just like really don't super know.
Right.
But
Because you assume it's Mark once you find
Exactly.
out.
Yes.
because he's the very violent one of the three. So
Yes.
when he wakes up like with a sword or whatever in his hand and everybody's
A
dead on the
knife,
floor,
yeah.
he's like, "What the?" And Mark
did
is
that?
like, "I don't know who did that
Yeah,
either."
and it's interesting because it seems like, you know, as we get farther into the series, we reveal like Mark's knowledge of his dissociative identity disorder, but it doesn't seem like he's super aware of a third personality.
No.
you know?
Not at all.
Which is kind of cool and interesting. You know.
Well, and as a viewer, I thought Mark was just lying. Like, I just thought him being like, "Oh no, I don't know what happened."
Right.
Like, I just
I
didn't
knew
trust
that.
him.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Unreliable narrator.
which is one of my favorite type of narrators.
yeah.
Yes.
Dude, I did not catch it on that early.
I mean, dude, when just from him like locking himself up at night to go to sleep, like locking his leg into this thing, and he's got sand all around his bed. It's like, oh no, this man has some severe problems.
Well, and
right?
like, how would Steven even know why to do that? You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, it's just because of how much time he's losing. I'm guessing is that he assumes that he sleepwalks, so he just gotta wrap himself up every night. But I mean, if another personality wakes up, and he's
Yeah,
like,
with
"I'll just
sand
untie
all
that."
around him.
And hop over
Well,
this.
the
Weird.
sand is so that if he walks out, he sees the footprints.
Yeah.
You know, but anywho, that scene was so funny to me when they're in what are they in? Like a cupcake or a donut mobile?
Yeah. The truck. Yeah, I think it is a donut mobile.
Oh my god! And he keeps going back and forth between Steven and Mark.
Yes.
And
He keeps blacking out.
Drogu, what's his name?
Drogu.
Reku.
Khonshu?
What?
Khonshu.
I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
And Khonshu's just like, "Oh, it's the idiot again."
Oh no, the idiot is
I kind of
here.
like Khonshu.
He was
Khonshu's
super funny.
Khonshu is very funny. Khonshu is played by... Oh, wait, I had it up here. Where did it go? Mr. F. Murray Abraham,
Let me see his face.
who... You might recognize this dude. I'm trying to think of what he has been in. Let's see here.
Why does he look like, what's his name?
He was in Scarface. He was in the Grand Budapest Hotel.
That's who, Mama. That's Old Zero.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, he's a well-known older character actor. Oh, actually, he's 82. Wow, he is older. But yeah, I thought he did a great job of providing the voice of mean old
I
curmudgeonly
dig that kind
Khonshu.
of. I dig that kind of dry humor, though.
Yeah. He was very funny as he was going through. So in episode 2, which is titled "Summon the Suit," Grant is blamed for the damage caused by the jackal creature
Right.
at the museum. They look at the footage, and he has it just shows Mark or Steven just running around screaming and knocking stuff over, basically.
Which is so funny. Like, poor guy.
Exactly.
And that's where you can see him like starting to lose it.
Right, he's like,
because
"I
he's
think I'm
like,
crazy."
that was there, and
Yeah, what is happening to me? He uses the key card to access a storage locker where he finds the scarab. He speaks with his reflection, another identity in Grant's body that introduces himself as American mercenary Mark Spector, the current avatar of the Egyptian moon god Khonshu. Grant is confronted by Layla, Spector's wife, who is unaware of Grant's existence before being arrested by police officers working for Harrow. Harrow reveals that he was Khonshu's previous avatar until he chose to instead follow Amit. He explains that he wants to use the scarab to find Amit's tomb and resurrect her so that she can purge humanity of evil by wiping out everyone who has or will commit evil deeds. Yeah, that's the thing that happened in the first episode where, like, we see him, like, use his cool tattoo to tip the scales and just like send this old lady into the afterlife. Basically, he just holds her hand and is like, "You're evil, bye."
A little preemptive, bro.
I mean, how many years that lady gotta live? How
Right?
she
Yeah.
be Evil.
What could she possibly do in
Well,
this
she's not
time?
gonna feed her grandchildren one day.
Yeah.
God.
only Amit knows, I guess.
so there's one issue, one question.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with me is, what was the issue? Oh no.
Was it Khonshu?
Harrow. How did Harrow get out of?
Out of service
Out
from
of service.
Khonshu? That's a good question.
Maybe Khonshu didn't want him anymore.
Yeah, maybe he stopped following directions or whatever. Because as we see through this, like Khonshu is kind of manipulative in choosing his avatar. He's like, "Come be my spirit of vengeance or whatever, and do exactly as I say, and then we'll get it done together." But Harrow obviously was disagreeing with Khonshu a lot through their
He might have just switched over because he
their
was
tenure.
trying to switch over to what's her face at one point too.
right. Yeah. So I think yeah,
Layla.
maybe he just broke the contract and was able to get out of it somehow. I don't know, but it does kind of seem like once Khonshu has you as accepting the job, that it's kind of for life.
Binding.
Yeah, it's pretty binding.
So that's why I was like, how'd you get out of that, man?
I think.
Yeah.
Do an exorcism? Like, what
Well,
happened?
I think. Well, I guess that goes too much into the recap thing that we watched on YouTube.
Go ahead.
But I think he didn't want him anymore, and he knew that Mark Spector was weaker and has these multiple personalities, and he could manipulate him way more easily. So I think he dropped the other dude and then took him.
Interesting.
No, that makes sense.
I assume that there was some kind of gap, right? Because
I
the
mean,
way
maybe,
that
but
Mark,
I think he didn't want him anymore.
right. Yeah.
Because he could drop him. Like, he doesn't want to drop Mark because he knows he can manipulate Mark so well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Khonshu probably just dropped Harrow.
Like, he doesn't want to drop Mark with his 3 personalities that he can manipulate to his will.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So this is my question. What else did we watch? I don't think it's Disney, but there is some other movie that I've seen where there was like a preemptive, you're going to do something in the future and we're going to get rid of you. Like we've seen that before. What do you do?
Terraskillians.
What?
Well, honestly, it's not.
What-
And,
what word did you
Captain
just-
America 2, Winter Soldier. Triskelions?
Triskelion?
Triskelion.
Triskelions.
Yeah, that's the
they were
SHIELD
killing people in
headquarters.
the future. That were going to mess something up in the future.
That's true. The SHIELD helicarriers. They had the targeting system
Yeah.
that would take people out.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Okay.
their
I
job.
just was.
There wasn't
But I
something
also
else
would
too.
say it's not unlike Thanos, who's like, I'm just going to get rid of half of people.
Yeah.
Like, decide their fate preemptively.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that was like there was no.
That was a real bit randomized.
Yeah.
This is a little bit more targeted
Yeah.
to people that could be threats or whatever.
Anywho.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, but I do like Ethan Hawke's purple staff. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You think he
The little hammer thing was. Is that what you're talking about?
his
It's a staff.
Was it a staff?
yeah staff.
Oh.
But it was curved at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did have a little accoutrement at the top. Let's see here. Still in episode 2. Layla rescues Grant, but Harrow summons another jackal creature. Grant manages to summon a suit of his own to fight the jackal, but is overpowered and allows Spectre to take control.
His thing looks cool.
His suit, his Mr. Knight suit,
I'm sorry.
I love it.
Funny.
I love it a lot. And he's like, come on then. And he like puts up his boxing mitts or whatever. Like he's from the 40s.
I'm a little disappointed because
So
in some
funny.
of the previews, that suit looks sleek. He looks
does.
like somebody's going to go in there and clean some stuff up, but he was very bumbly.
It's Steven's suit.
It's
so,
still
you know,
Steven.
He'll get there.
I thought that was so funny.
Once Mark takes control, he kills the jackal but loses the scarab to Harrow. Khonshu threatens to claim Layla as his next avatar if Spectre fails to stop Harrow. So yeah, he's
And
still-
Layla is Mark Spector's wife.
Right. He's still being manipulative. And Layla is also his wife, but she's a
mercenary,
like
too.
a mercenary Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones
Mark.
style lady that is obsessed with Egyptian ancient Egyptian history and stuff like that, and artifacts and whatnot.
It's interesting.
As was her father.
As was her father.
Seems
yes.
like Mark or Steven had kind of taken on that persona of Layla, like has all the knowledge of the stuff.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Because, like, as we go through the series, right, and Steven meets Layla, they have a lot in common, right? They're
Yeah.
both these ancient Egypt connoisseurs or whatever. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, I wonder if he got married to Layla and then developed Steven as an identity based on her.
Which we figure out later is not the case.
Right,
But,
but it is
he
interesting
has
how,
the knowledge
how
that
similar
she
they are.
has.
Yes.
And Mark obviously is not really there with that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's not thinking about that too much. That's what Steven's for. Episode 3 is called
Just
The
love him
Friendly
in
Type.
his little suit. It's just so funny.
Hilarious.
It
How many
is
people
great.
didn't dress like that for Halloween?
Oh yeah,
I have a lot of white people walking around.
That'd be a really cool costume. Yeah, all these suited up ghosts out
I
here.
still have that song. Every time we talk about Moon Knight, I have that song stuck in my head.
Which song?
Every day I wake up.
Oh yeah. Because that's the montage song that plays
Yeah, it's stuck in my head.
as he's waking up over and over again and
Wakes up
unlocking
into something new.
all his doors and stuff like that, feeding his goldfish.
Poor goldfish.
In episode 3, Hero and his followers discover the location of Amit's tomb in the Egyptian desert. In Cairo, Mark and Steven both experience blackouts while tracking a lead to Hero's location. After failing to gain information, Khonshu calls a council between his fellow Egyptian gods and their avatars to warn them of Hero's plans. But Hero successfully denies the accusation. It's really weird. Like,
I think it's weird that the Egyptian gods are like, not that they're okay with Hero, but like, how is Hero acting like Amit's avatar already if Amit is trapped in cement?
If she is sealed in a tomb or
Like,
whatever.
where did he get the staff? He must have found it.
He must have found it on some
with the
excursion or
scarab.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it is weird that Mark brings all of this up to the gods, and he's like, "Hey, this dude he's being evil. He's trying to resurrect Amit. Y'all remember Amit, right? Let's stop him
You
from doing
imprisoned
that."
her.
Yeah, and they're like, "Shut up, Mark, stupid. We don't want to listen to you. You're dumb."
They don't like Mark because he's Khonshu's avatar, and they don't like Khonshu.
Right, but then at the same time, Hero is like, "Hey guys, everything's cool. I'm chill. I'm good. I'm a good guy. Don't worry about me." But he was also Khonshu's avatar, so it's
So-
like, why do they trust anything that he's saying?
I don't know.
You know,
Yeah.
The avatars are kind of dumb.
he's got glass in his shoes. Everybody listens to what this dude says.
gosh.
That was a crazy first scene. That's like the very first scene of the whole series.
I think Luis was like, "Oh no,
Mark,
no,
do you have
no."
glass in your shoes? No, you're not reliable.
Oh yeah, that's weird. Why did he do that?
I don't know. I guess it's like a sort of self-flagellation or
Oh, yeah,
whatever.
that's what it is.
Right? He'll just pour this glass in these shoes, and I'm gonna just walk around all day. And it's so weird, like, to
He's a
hear
weirdo.
the crunching of the glass
Really?
as he's like walking through places. Crunch, crunch, munch, munch.
Crunch,
But there is
crunch.
one avatar who like kind of believes. The
Yes.
girl.
Let's see here. Hathor's avatar, Yatzil, tells Mark to find the sarcophagus of Medjay, who knew the location of Amit's tomb. Layla finds Mark and takes him to meet with Anton Mogart, who's an acquaintance who owns the
Oh, yeah.
sarcophagus.
His place was sick.
Yeah, he had a really swanky place. We're talking about swank. This
Was that
dude's
the
got
joke
it.
shop thing?
Yeah, they're out in the desert and they're like they got the horses and stuff running around, and then
They're like jousting.
they're like doing the
Oh
jousting
yeah,
and
no,
stuff.
okay.
They go
I
to
was
that
thinking of
guy's house
something
because he got
completely
a bunch of
different.
black market
Yeah.
Egyptian
Yes,
stuff.
he has a whole bunch of Egyptian artifacts
So they're looking for the tomb.
for the
Yeah,
sarcophagus. So Hera arrives and destroys the sarcophagus, forcing Mark,
The jousting.
Steven, and Layla to fight off Mogart's men and escape into the desert. Steven assembles some of the sarcophagus fragments into a star map. Yeah, he has to solve a puzzle. But it is 2,000 years out of date. So Khonshu uses his powers to briefly turn back the night
was
sky
sick. That was
to
sick.
the correct night, which is really cool. They're like, wah, 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 wah.
Khonshu must really trust Mark because he knew he would get trapped after that. He was like, Mark, come find me.
Right, exactly. Even though
because he knew that if he used those powers, like he was getting
the gods
stoned.
Are gonna, the gods are gonna be upset about this. So this allows Steven and Layla to go find Amit's tomb. The other gods imprison Khonshu in an Ushabti for this, which is a little stone statue.
Yes, little stone
This
statue.
little action figure.
He got stoned.
He got stoned, which leaves Steven and Mark's body without Khonshu's powers. And that brings us to episode 4, The Tomb, which is where Steven and Layla have to find a deserted campsite at the location of Amit's tomb, which is a maze in the shape of the Eye of Horus, which is something that Steven has to figure out. The Eye of Horus!
Oh, yeah, and he was done with Mark at this point. He was like, Mark ain't coming back.
Right, yeah. I'm not letting him take over this
Me
story
and
anymore.
Layla, okay?
You kiss her, I'm gonna
Right.
kill you. And he's like,
yeah. I will throw us off a cliff, I think is what he said.
He's like, we ain't got no powers now to save ourselves.
So in this episode, they discover that some of Hero's men have been killed by undead Egyptian priests, who then attack Steven and Layla.
Dude, whenever you get like
Oh yeah,
That
these
always-
dudes are super creepy.
Oh, they were so creepy.
Oh yeah,
That is a trip,
Yeah, whenever they do
man.
like clicking sounds like that, you know something's up.
yeah.
It's a hard pass.
They got the click noises, and they got a whole bunch of like torture tools to drain you of your blood or
Egyptian
whatever.
stuff is freaky. I seen the mummy.
I mean, yeah, turning people into mummies is no joke. It's a
I won't lie, that
a
was
creepy
very
process.
confusing for me because I
Ems is
didn't.
not a big clicker type of
Well,
stuff.
no, I'm not. I don't like clicks, but I was confused because I didn't understand. Is that what they were doing? Was
Yeah.
trying to mummify people?
I think
Yeah.
so.
So they were like embalming them,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
draining
Then
them of their
they'll
stuff.
put them to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was confused. I guess that makes more sense now that we're talking
Exactly.
about it.
Doing some
But
magical
they were
mummification.
creepy.
Yeah, they was super creepy. But Layla comes in there and she starts whooping some butts.
She cares none.
Right?
She's pretty BA.
I'm coming in hard.
She defeats the priest but encounters Harrow and his glassy shoes, who claims that Mark was one of the mercenaries who murdered her father, Abdallah el Fuli. Stephen finds the tomb and discovers that Amit's last avatar was Alexander the Great, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
I was like, what? Huh?
Yeah, so I mean, Amit had an avatar when she was still around, and it was, you know, the coolest guy around, Alexander the Great, helping him conquer stuff, I guess.
Yes.
Let's see here. He retrieves Amit's Upshapti from inside of Alexander's decrepit body. So he has to like reach inside of his mouth and grab it out of
nasty.
there. That was pretty gross. Layla angrily confronts Mark, who reveals that his partner killed Layla's father and Mark himself before Khonshu revived Mark as his avatar. Harrow then arrives and shoots Mark in the chest, who then wakes up in a psychiatric hospital populated
And
by
this is
people from his
where-
life.
Got real. Okay, I was like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah, this is like this was a very cool jump right here, right? We see Mark get shot, he goes down, he closes his eyes, and then he opens his eyes, and it's all white rooms, white padded rooms everywhere, and Layla's there.
It was
and
crazy.
The two cops from the beginning are there.
And they just leave you on that cliffhanger. I was like,
yes, exactly.
what? Y'all binged it. We had to wait a whole week.
Hold on, wait.
Sounds like it
This
should be
is where,
patient.
at the end of this episode, where he wakes up there, this is where I literally like clapped my hands together and did like the creepy like thing. And Luis was like, if this goes into a whole episode of them in this psych ward, I'm gonna be done with this show.
But
And I
that
was
was like the best episode.
I was like, this is where I want to be.
Yes.
Like, this
Episode
is so
5?
interesting.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was
episode
very cool.
5 was like
He was
the
pissed
best
though,
one.
so mad.
So you didn't like episode 5 at all?
I like the fact you got a lot of background.
A lot of
That was
backstory.
it. I didn't
Yes.
like the in between BS.
He didn't like the
Oh.
limbo
love
that
the
his little brain
backstory.
could
I really
understand.
liked it.
Sure.
Which is here's the deal. I don't mind it if like it's like Scrooge like you go back in time, you try to
Okay.
correct- that's all fine and dandy, but
Sure.
like
He didn't like him being in limbo.
No.
the whole thing going back and forth between like he's getting back into the psychiatrist chair and all that,
Right.
I thought was really useless in the sense that like we already know he kind of goes in and out of his mind and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
It's a
Do-
metaphor.
Do you really need to kind of open up? And here's the reason why I'm probably more upset with it, because I felt like they opened up this door for you with that aspect and they didn't walk you through. They just left you there at the front
Right, just hanging
without
out
inviting
in the
you
doorway.
in all the way through.
I kind of feel that.
You know, because like at
No.
least in Inception, they would be like, okay, we're gonna go down a level so that we can go down 7, 8, 9 more levels.
Sure.
Right here, it's just like, okay, we're gonna go down this level. Why are we going down that level? What's the point?
Yeah, I would say in terms of like the psychiatric hospital, like him talking
It was all a metaphor.
to
though. Like,
Harrow.
none of that.
Right. But him going from me and Steven are running around this hospital looking through our memories and stuff like that to him talking to this mustache version of Harrow.
Like that part was what was the point of that?
Right. I think it is just a metaphor to show how fractured his mind actually is and how much control he doesn't actually have
For Steven, yeah.
for Steven.
Well,
yeah.
Mark too.
dude,
Right, right, for
him
everybody.
Going into that whole Egyptian god realm is like pretty fractured. Like I said,
Yeah.
that it felt like there was no point to him going back to Harold being quote unquote his doctor.
Right.
It did.
I don't
like I
agree
said,
with that.
opened the door, but didn't explain why that was important.
Well, the hippo did. I thought the hippo
I thought
did
she
a.
did.
The
too.
hippo was explaining the path that she was trying to take them on into
but
the
No.
she was like,
flashback.
"This is where you are," and it manifests as whatever it manifests. As.
Yeah, like when she
Yes.
first walks through the door and you're like, why is there a hippo here? She's like, hi. I loved her little voice. Hi. She pretty much says, like, you're in limbo and this is what your brain concocted for you because you can't understand, like, the actual concept of limbo unless it's
Of
in
the
your
afterlife.
terms.
Yeah, she said that this is a afterlife, and there are
You
know
could be stuck here,
there are
but I'd
many
rather
others.
take you to the field of dreams.
right, and your brain is interpreting this boat that's in the sand of the Duat as a psychiatric hospital because that's where it feels a little bit more safe, a little bit more comfortable, or whatever. Yeah, so in this episode 5, the asylum.
And we see Jake Lockley in this one a couple times.
Yes, so it's much more heavily hinted that there is a third personality by the time we get to here, because Mark.
Now I want to rewatch the whole thing. I,
know,
want to
right?
There's one time where he's talking to the doctor, and his nose is broken. And
Yes.
Steven's nose and Mark's nose are not broken. And he's talking to him, and he like cuts out the knife, and he's like, I'm gonna. That one was Jake, and then also
I won't even lie to you. Like, I remember seeing that and being like, why's your nose broken?
Right, what happened?
But
That one's Jake.
I still thought that Mark was unreliable. Like,
Right.
I still thought he was like had these weird violent streaks.
Right, or still lying or something like that. Yeah, so as Mark is walking around this psychiatric hospital, he finds a sarcophagus, and Steven is in it. So Steven pops out, and they are together on screen, which is very cool. And even though there's been like this great amount of animosity between them in the show thus far, when they see each other, they hug it out, and they are brothers immediately, basically.
They're like, where are we?
Yeah, we got to get out of this together.
And there was a third one.
And then we see a third sarcophagus that just kind of wiggles in a room in the background.
Well, I can't leave that one.
Yeah, we ain't got time to mess with that dude yet.
Well, there you go. That makes more sense.
Exactly. So yeah, they talk to Towerette, the hippopotamus
She was so
goddess
funny. I
of
loved her.
fertility. She tells them that she has to weigh their hearts on the scales of justice to determine whether they can enter the field of reeds. But their hearts are super unbalanced right now because they are not one whole person, I guess. And in order for them to become one whole person, they have to like tell each other the truth and
And like reconcile.
yes, they have to reconcile
They have
with
to
one
go through their
another.
past.
Exactly. So
And it's intense.
they go through most of what Mark's memories look like, right? And as they're walking through some of them, Mark is going like, hey, Steven, don't look at this. And Steven, I don't want you to see this. And Steven, we got to get out of here. I don't like this, Steven. He's trying to shield Steven from these memories because of how bad they are. So eventually we get to Mark's childhood. He has a little brother. He has two parents. They hang out. And Mark takes his little brother to like some caves that are off in the distance.
Which is weird because aren't they like in a suburb of New York?
Yeah, I don't know where this rural.
Maybe they're not in New York right there.
Maybe it's like upstate.
Maybe
New
it's
York.
upstate. Yeah, something like that. But even then, I don't know what kind of.
I'm just saying,
Crazy
if
water caves
I
they
was the
got.
parents, I'd be like, you going out there. You're not, I mean, they know where their kids are going.
Right.
Doesn't she say don't take them there?
I think she
No,
says.
she says it's your job to keep him safe.
Right. Yeah. And maybe
So,
she doesn't
like-
know exactly where they're going. Maybe they just go play out in the woods and then they discover this little cave that's out
I
there. or
ain't letting
something
my
like
kids
that.
go play in the
right,
woods.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
So while they're out in the woods, Mark and his little brother, they get trapped in a cave and a rainstorm comes in and his brother ends up drowning. So the little brother dies, right? And
Poor dude.
it completely tears the entire family apart because when Mark comes back alive and the little brother has died, the mom blames Mark for his death, even though Mark he's no older than like 10 years old or something like that at this point, right? And the brother was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something like that. So she is completely upset at Mark. She's angry at him, and she doesn't talk to him anymore. Mark
Becomes
goes
like an
through.
alcoholic.
Yeah, she becomes an alcoholic. Mark goes through a couple birthdays where she doesn't even acknowledge him, and she starts to beat him. And her beating him is enough trauma to cause Mark to develop dissociative identity disorder. And he looks up at a poster for this like Indiana Jones style movie that stars a character named Stephen Grant, who is knowledgeable about ancient Egyptian tombs and stuff like that. And Stephen is developed to take some of the pain away from the beatings that his mother regularly issues out to him. It's very tragic, honestly. It's like incredibly sad as you're watching it happen.
But it makes sense to me. Like it's weird when you say you like something that's
Right.
like tragic.
It's
but,
a good
but
origin
I
story
liked
for a
it.
superhero.
Yeah.
Well, and then it even makes it even better because when you think back, you're like, oh yeah, he never actually talked to his mom. Like Steven was constantly
On
like
the
calling
phone.
mom.
Yes.
But it was always a voicemail. So it makes more sense as to why, there was no connection there. But
Right.
Well, and then I think Mark finally is like, you don't have a mom, Steven. He's like,
Yeah.
yes, I do. And she's like, no, you don't.
No, you don't. And you know that.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause
So they
you know
kind
that
of
you never
finally
speak
like
to her.
accept each other for like who they are. And then aren't their scales balanced or no? And then they get unbalanced?
Yes, their scales become balanced once the scene happens where like Mark is older now. He goes back home for his mother's funeral, right? And he breaks down crying in the streets, and Steven is able to see this dichotomy of him and Mark together in the same body and stuff like that. They then are able to reconcile. And Tower Red takes their hearts, puts them on the scales, and go, oh, look, cool, it's balanced. And as that happens, they get attacked by these Duat zombies or whatever. All these like images of the people that Mark has killed in his duties as Moon Knight come to haunt them, literally. They fight, and Steven has to like sacrifice himself into the Duat to save Mark and let him carry on his way. He does that. He goes out in the sand and freezes into like a sand statue, and Mark is able to go on to the Field of Reeds, which is heaven, basically, for Egyptians. And that is the cliffhanger ending of that episode. And then, so the sixth episode,
I was like, what the?
as we're going into it, we're like, whoa, okay, so he's
Steven, I was so upset.
I know.
Steven with a V.
with a V,
Stephen.
not a PH.
Steven with a V.
So yeah, this whole time in this show, I have become so attached to Steven. I think he is like just the most like lovable,
He's the best.
likable person, that
Why
that
am
you
I
ever did
always
see.
not agreeing with all
No,
of you
you
guys?
don't like
I love-
Don't get me
You're
wrong.
wrong.
Out of both
Steven
of them,
is the best.
I like Steven. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
Out of both of them, Mark.
Well,
all
Mark
day?
is cooler for sure.
Mark's annoying as hell.
I thought he was annoying.
I just
And like
like-
I said, I didn't believe him at all.
Right, you thought he was a
The whole
liar
time.
the whole time.
He
Which, I
redeemed
mean, he
himself
is-
at
he
the
is a
end,
liar, for
like
sure.
in this,
He does
but
lie.
I didn't like him.
I guess the reason why I like him more is because what did Steven really have to suffer? He didn't suffer any of it.
Well, no.
Mark suffered any of it.
So you
Should be
like
more
the
compassion
sufferer?
towards him because of that. That's why I like
Steven didn't know that until he learned
exactly.
it.
So he didn't suffer anything. That's why I like Mark more because like Mark had to go through a lot of stuff.
Man,
You
I
know
really
what I mean?
disagree with you hardcore
And plus,
right now.
technically speaking, Steve's not really real.
I know, but if you woke up one day and you realized that you weren't real and that you were a
You were
machination
the
of someone,
second identity.
like, and
be
you really
rough.
have nothing going for you, like, what do you...
You have no friends. You call your mom every day on the phone and she never picks up
She's dead already.
because she's dead.
The reason I
you
don't
talk
like-
to a
You
golden statue dude,
You lost your date.
and you can't even be the tour guide at the museum.
Okay,
you
I'll
work
tell
at.
you the real reason I don't like Mark. He didn't fucking tell his wife that he knows why her freaking father died.
Yeah.
They had
Yeah,
been
he just
married for
straight up
years,
left.
and you're just like, whatever, and left her.
And then he just goes and
He's
disappears
a
and
huge
becomes
asshole,
Steven. Yeah.
in my opinion.
That is
Truth.
pretty asshole-ish. I'll give him
yeah,
that.
so
Correct.
I can't be Team Mark. He redeems himself at the end, but that's
Does
it.
he?
He tries.
Does he?
But and then he just sells his soul to Khonshu. He's like, "Fine, save me." I'm like, "You should have just died." Honestly.
Should have just died.
That sounds bad, but was he married to Layla at that point?
Yeah,
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
he met Layla after, didn't he?
Right. He met
That's
Layla.
even worse. He
after
met
her
Layla
father.
after the
Oh,
father
he should've
died,
died and not
and courted her
conjured.
and freaking got married to her. Oh, but I'm never going to tell you why your father died.
Or that I knew him.
Or that I was there, that I knew
The day he
him.
died.
Too much.
Fucked up.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'm
Can you
cursing a
chill
lot,
out?
but sorry, but it is.
Okay.
I'm just saying why I disagree with Luis. Steven is better.
I'm just saying that's hard for Steven.
Steven
Okay.
is fake better. How's that?
You know, I did have a question. Like I was a little bit confused in the 5th episode when they're showing the mom coming in to like beat Mark, right? And he is dipping into his Steven zone or
He does
whatever.
that after.
So Mark gets beaten and then he becomes Steven so that he doesn't remember any of that.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I was just confused.
Because that
about
would have
the-
negated
the
what
order
I
of it.
said about Steven not suffering.
Right. I thought he would slip into Steven so that Steven got beat.
No.
And then he
No.
You know
No.
but I agree with you that to me that made some more sense.
No, it doesn't, because
Like,
the whole
Steven
thing
is the
about
one who got
Steven is
beat.
that he's an escape.
Yeah, he's the escape after.
He's the escape
Because he
from
doesn't want to
reality.
sit in his
in his
his
sadness,
sadness.
and
So he becomes Steven and
my
is like
gosh. So this is where
happy-go-lucky.
I'm okay with it being psychological because
Uh-huh.
this is psychological. So what if he's Steven at the same time he's getting beat, but Steven is like,
He's not, though.
no, bear with me. Okay, so he goes into Steven as he's getting beat so that he can be living as Steven and everything's all flowers as he's getting beat.
right.
All simultaneously. Because if he wasn't in Steven's mind looking at all these flowers, then he would be suffering even more of the pain than he is. So I get what you guys are saying, like Steven's an aftermath to make him forget. But what about the current?
I
That's
feel
why I
like
think
Steven would
maybe-
know that, though.
And
Yeah.
I think
Steven would already know.
Another part of Mark
Steven's like the coping mechanism.
is that Mark he takes that beating because he kind of thinks he deserves it. He
Yeah.
kind of thinks that he did let the brother die and that his mom's wrath is
Poor kid,
is
man.
is worth it or whatever. So yeah, he's deeply troubled as they say several times throughout the series.
Yeah, because then Steven would have already known, like, I take these beatings for this dude.
Yeah, yeah, and that also
He's
makes me
the-
think.
He's the, you go to your happy place after type of thing.
Yes, exactly. And it also makes me think that the third personality, the Jake Lockley of it all,
Might have been the one who like received the actual
received the beatings.
Yeah, so it
maybe,
was like Mark disassociated
Could be.
to Jake
Jake, and then
And that's why Jake's so violent.
Field of Dreams was Steven.
for Steven, who just
Because
got
Steven is the main.
Fields
I
and
mean,
Flowers.
Mark is the main person.
But
Yes.
Jake speaks Spanish. That's funny.
and the other thing about Jake is that like he is so hyper violent that it makes me think that he probably would have lashed out at the mom if he had been present during some of that, So
Yeah.
maybe he was developed
They'll
later
probably explain that more in season 2.
when Mark was like a mercenary and stuff like that, and that's what he
Yeah.
needed to do to survive is to be Jake or something like that. But yeah,
You know
that'll
what would be
some season
cool?
2 stuff.
If he was created out of like being the avatar for Khonshu.
Oh, just
Like-
the trauma of that alone.
Yeah, like he became because didn't he say that he was going out and seeking justice on bad people pretty much?
right.
So like from what he saw in like the bad people brought
Having-
back those
having
like
to do all of
traumatic
that, yeah.
brought back the trauma from his childhood and made him go berserk.
Yeah, I can see some of that happening, and hopefully we will see some more happening. So the last episode 6, Gods and Monsters. Harrow finally.
This one was like the only one where I was like,
Yeah, so as we had said, like the episode 5 cliffhanger really left us like, whoa, that was crazy. It was a really good episode, but how are they possibly going to wrap all of this up in one single episode? And I do think that they did a little too much here, just in general, between Harrow resurrecting Amit, Layla becoming the avatar for Towerwet and gaining powers and stuff like that. Mark coming back to life and resurrecting Steven back to life, and then them two Moon Knighting and Mr. Knighting it up through alleyways and stuff like that, which is very, very cool. And then they defeat Harrow, and he releases himself from Khonshu. So all of this happens in this one single episode. And I think it was a lot for this one episode to handle.
And the part I could not handle was Amit and Khonshu fighting as big sand people.
That was weird too. Yes.
I mean, like giant sand things.
They were big old kaiju monsters fighting up against the pyramids and stuff like that.
I don't know if that was all necessary. Like they could have. I don't know. I just didn't love that.
Yeah, and it was confusing at points too, because like I was like, okay, so is this actually happening? Are people on the streets seeing them? And apparently they weren't, but they were still like affecting things happening, like they were hitting cars and slamming into the pyramids and stuff like that. So it was all a little bit much there. The God fight on top of the Avatar fight, on the ground.
She was pretty awesome though.
Oh yes, I really liked Layla receiving the powers.
Does she have a name?
Me too. They did end up calling her something on Instagram. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, and I can't remember what it was.
They gave her a superhero name, something, the Scarlet Scarab.
Yes, Scarlet Scarab. You're right.
Well, I liked her. Like that was pretty cool.
It's very cool. They gave her wings. I was like, oh snap, she's gonna have to fight Falcon. This is gonna be crazy.
Right. She was Gold Falcon.
Yeah. But yeah, she's really cool as she gains her powers and she saves the little girl. It's like, are you an Egyptian superhero? So, yes, I am. So that was all cool, and I really liked when Mark is shifting into Moon Knight, and then they switch over to Steven, and Steven is Mr. Knight, and they're able to do that simultaneously.
Yeah, once they know how to work together.
Yes, they work together as a team much better. The
Mr. Knight is too much. I can't get over it.
The main thing that I don't really like about this last episode is that they're on their last legs towards the end of the episode, and Mark is kind of taken out and Steven is kind of taken out, and so they don't know how they're going to get through it, and so he blacks out one last time, and when he wakes up,
he's Jake.
Everybody around him is dead. Yeah. What I had wished had happened,
like Jake takes over when they know both of them are toast.
Right, when they're in pure survival mode or whatever. But what I wish would have happened is that they had shown us a little bit more of Jake in this moment, and they didn't even have to necessarily like have him start speaking Spanish and stuff like that, and showing him as he's like, hello, my name is Jake Lockley or whatever,
Yeah.
But I kind of wish that he had morphed into like a third suit, and we saw him whoop these dudes, wipe the floor with them or whatever,
like a different white suit.
Yes, exactly, and then have him wake up as Mark again.
The article that I just sent you said they did try to write him into a version, but that it didn't feel right.
Okay, yeah.
That so they were like, let's leave it more like a cliffhanger,
editorial decision or whatever. Which is fine, but once again, I think the episode would have been better.
Well, and for me, it's like it's not really a cliffhanger, because then in the next like 2 minutes they bring him up.
Exactly. So they beat Harrow.
That's true.
And
because then I think it would have made more sense as to why he keeps blacking out into this violence.
Exactly.
They're like hinting towards him.
Yeah, it's.
But if I didn't get that on my own, right? You had to tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
I only knew because I read too many articles like after each episode. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I get confused very easily.
The show itself, I don't think, did a great job of introducing the third character.
But if you go back and watch it, you probably notice it now.
Yes, the hints are definitely there, and the hints are cool. But I still think they didn't necessarily stick the landing with that.
Right.
Right.
So they beat Harrow. Mark and Steven say, no more, Khonshu. We ain't doing nothing with you no more. We don't like you no more, Khonshu. Goodbye. We hand in our Moon Knight badge or whatever.
And he's like, okay.
All right, whatever. I guess I don't
y'all
need y'all.
Y'all have a third on the side, okay?
Exactly. So then we see the post-credit scene, which is back in a psychiatric hospital. We zoom in, and it's Harrow there. And he gets wheeled out of the hospital. We see a bunch of dead bodies on the floor and stuff like that. He gets into a white limo.
Thinking he's being saved.
And Khonshu is in the limo. He's like, oh, you thought you were going to get away with me? Well, you thought I wasn't going to keep my main dude on the side over here? Meet Jake Lockley. And then Jake is like, hola, or whatever he says, and then he shoots him, and then the episode is over. Yeah. Which is cool. Once again, but I still think it would have been a little bit cooler had we actually seen him in action.
I just sent you guys an article. I think it's because they weren't sure what's going to happen with him. So, like, the director was saying, like, just because a season of the Marvel show is good doesn't mean it's going to get a season 2.
Right.
So, if they had introduced him too much, maybe people would have been like, oh, man, you know what I mean?
Would have felt a little cut
now
short.
they're like, they could do something if they want to. He could be in a movie if they want to.
Yeah.
If they get signed for a season 2, then they could do it if they want to.
That is
so
the
I think they
thing.
were trying to leave it a little vague.
A little open-ended.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because I believe Oscar Isaac only signed on to do this 6-episode series. Like, he hasn't signed on for anything further. And most of the actors who sign Marvel deals usually sign up for like a 3-picture deal or something like that, which is, you know, either 3 movies
Like,
or a movie,
yeah.
a TV show, and another
I think
movie or
with the
something,
Disney
something
Plus
like that.
stuff, they're just like, we'll see. Because
Exactly.
they just announced they are going to do a season 2 of Loki, but like that wasn't
Loki.
a thing. We
Yeah.
didn't know there was going to be another
Right.
one.
Right,
you know
right.
what I mean? And I don't think any of the other Marvel shows will end up having a season 2 that we've seen so far.
Well, and
Right.
that's the thing is the other ones wrapped up their stories in like a package, and Loki did not. And this one, I feel like kinda, but not really.
Right. Exactly.
I think they're trying to see how it panned out, like how popular it was. If
Yeah.
they want to, like,
yeah.
I mean, I'd watch a season 2. I really liked it.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't obviously need another episode or season of WandaVision.
Right.
You don't need another season of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Well, and I think that's why they tried to keep Jake Lockley kind of vague, because do we need another season of Steven and Mark? Because their story kind of, now they're homies or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So now it could be Steven and Mark versus Jake. Like, what's going on? You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Like,
Start
they
off
could
with Jake and stuff
save
like
it for
that.
a whole nother storyline type of thing.
So I'm just gonna throw this out here now. After watching this and really thinking about the TV shows in general, I went into this on purpose, not having read or knowing anything about it, and was
Gotcha.
hyped because I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And I now want to go back and rewatch Loki because I think I was the only person that was like really
Look
like
down on
down on it.
Yeah, you like hyped
And
yourself.
I-
Well,
that's
you
the-
hyped yourself up for it hardcore, too.
That's the problem is I feel like I came in thinking like knowing what I thought was going to happen.
Right.
And when it didn't, I was upset. Right. So
Versus
then,
us, we didn't know what to expect, and we were like, this is a cool twist.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know?
so now I want to rewatch it because I see like if you don't go in with an expectation, Marvel usually exceeds.
a no expectation.
yeah.
Like,
Besides
they don't
Hawkeye.
always meet a hyped expectation.
Exactly. Besides Hawkeye.
Yeah. You know. We can
That
only
could-
do so much.
Hey, you know, it's
4 episodes.
I mean,
Okay.
what
2.
date is this episode releasing?
This one is coming out on the 13th of
Okay,
June, I believe.
so Miss Marvel's out, dude.
That's
by
right.
the time you guys are listening to this.
Yes,
Oh,
correct.
So,
Yes,
I'm
the
so
next show.
excited.
Yeah, that's going to be a show that I think is going to be very cool, and I'm trying to keep myself away from seeing
I'm
too
trying
much
to
of it
keep
as well.
myself away from it because I don't have high expectations from it.
I see.
I think I saw the first trailer and I was like, eh.
Yeah.
So I'm just not watching anything, so I can go into it and be like, "Oh, that was good."
Right.
You know why
I
I'm
think
scared?
she's
Because
cool.
she's young, and the girl in Hawkeye was young, and I'm just scared.
Oh.
I'm scared it's gonna give me Hawkeye vibes, which I didn't really like.
I just think that her powers are really cool.
Yeah.
And there was nothing for me in Hawkeye that differentiated her from him. They were literally
They were
the same.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah. It wasn't
But-
even like a Batman and Robin. It was like a Batman and Batman Jr.
But I will say for Moon Knight, though, that I did have expectations because we were watching the trailers being like, ooh,
Right.
Moon Knight. It was just because of the fact that it was Oscar Isaac. And I was like, I think he's going to do really good. But luckily, the trailers didn't give away too much for
Right.
this, where it worked out okay. But I didn't watch, like, the last 2 trailers that came out or
Sure.
something. And we've been trying to do that with movies and things, too.
Yeah.
You know? Sometimes it's just better to just go into it.
Yeah, if I can be sold on the first teaser, then that's all that I need to see until the project actually comes out, you know.
Okay, y'all, here's the truthy McTruth. Every single one of us just yawned in the last 30 seconds.
Oh, we done. We about
So
to get our
I
ratings.
think we need to wrap it up.
That's
Am I yawning into the mic?
that's all
you
she
know.
Listeners,
wrote,
you-
bro. Luis, I'm
Listeners,
gonna
write in. Let us know if you hear us yawning.
Sorry.
I'm gonna let you go
It's
first.
late.
What are you gonna give Hawkeye?
No, Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
Hawk
It's
Well,
Knight.
late.
Hawkeye, the same score I gave it. No. Moon Knight, I've come to terms with the fact that weird part that I don't like happened. And honestly, I'd still give it about an 8.
Yeah.
Take that out of it, It'd probably be a solid 9.5 for me.
Okay. All right.
So an 8.
I'm giving Moon Knight also an 8, only because the finale let me down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I wanted a little bit more of him. But was it really good and I really enjoyed it? Yes. And I probably will rewatch it, honestly, because it was good.
Yeah.
I really liked it. And I don't have any major qualms like how we have with some of the other ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a good, succinct TV show. I'm going to give it an 8. Emily.
I think I'm going to give it an 8.5. I want to give it a 9, but it literally has a 0.5 minus for me because of the last episode.
Yeah.
Because the rest of it to me was a 9. But that
Episode
last
5 was
episode
like-
was just like crap coming together.
Right.
So I'm saying I think they need to rethink 6-episode series. It's okay. You can do 8. You could do
I don't
a
know.
little
It's
more.
either like right on the mark or not.
Yeah.
Because some of them were good with 6, but then some of them were like drawing it out too much. This
Yeah.
one felt rushed.
And then I don't think we ever talked about the Netflix Marvel series, but those all had like 13 episodes, and it was just like way too long.
It was,
on a lot
yeah,
of
it was
them,
too
right?
long. Because I can't really go back. I have to commit to go back to rewatching that. This I could binge in a day if I really wanted to.
That's
Yeah.
true.
You know?
Daredevil takes 2 weeks for me
Right,
every
yeah.
time.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
long, that's long.
Exactly. Andre.
So yes, I think I am also going to give it an 8.5 for very, very similar reasons to you, Emily. That like the show is really good all the way through. I love all the psychological aspects of it. I think Oscar Isaac just brings it the entire
Dude,
time.
he kills it.
As Steven, Mark, Jake,
But mainly Steve.
Moon Knight, Mr. Knight, everybody.
Oh my God.
He is awesome. And watching him carry this show was really the most exciting part of it.
Because honestly, to me, he didn't get his time in Star Wars. Like, yes, you were Poe Dameron.
Yeah,
you got
but
a lot
he-
of him in the first one, but he didn't get his time to shine.
Yeah.
And then I felt like in this, and he got to play like 3 characters. I was like, yes.
yeah, he got to really chew up some scenery as,
He
as
got
an
to
actor.
show off his acting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In
I do
this.
need to say though, this is not a qualm. It's just an artistic choice. I did not like Layla. Like
That's the other thing I was going to
she
say.
was blah.
Especially opposite of Oscar Isaac, that
She
like
couldn't hold her own
he's
against him.
bringing it, and she's just kind of like, I'm here, and I'm making weird choices, and I'm mad at you, but I'm not mad at you, and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
unfortunately,
I needed someone a little more dynamic,
She did
I
fall
think.
flat. I agree
Yeah,
with you.
and it was cool when she got her powers and stuff like that. But if she had been a little bit more consistent and stable throughout the rest of the series, then I think that moment would have hit a lot harder.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. I was
Exactly.
just too into watching Steven, honestly.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're gonna do with her. I don't know if she's gonna continue on as this Scarlet Scarab or whatever.
I guess they can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
That Harrow was so good.
Actress's
He
name
was.
is
So
May
creepy.
Kalamawi. You know, I was really excited at the end when Moon Knight defeats Harrow and he's still alive. I was like, oh snap! So Ethan Hawke can come back. That's gonna be cool. And then he gets shot in the face at the end of the season. I'm like, oh, all right, I guess I was
And Khonshu's just like
a little disappointing.
I like Khonshu. I don't know why.
Yeah, I like Khonshu too, but I was excited that we had another Marvel villain that could stick around for a little bit. But I guess not. That's all right. That's all right, Ethan Hawke. You got other stuff to do.
hey, Khonshu could come back in and be like,
Yeah, I resurrect you again. I have 2 avatars now. I don't know if he can do that.
he could be like, come at me, Winter Soldier.
Yeah, exactly. So that has been our review of Moon Knight, everybody. We liked it. Let us know what you thought of Moon Knight in the comments. You can find us on social media. We are at the Walt Vault Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Next episode, we are dipping into one of the newest Disney Plus original films. It's going to be 2022's live action / animated film, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Yes, the Lonely Island guys came to resurrect Chip and Dale, and I'm pretty excited about it. It looks very Roger Rabbit to me,
not.
and
Which is so funny
I'm
because
unsure.
I love Roger Rabbit so much. And I remember the first couple times I watched it, I was not, but it's so good because it's different.
Yeah.
Which in some ways
yeah.
could like turn you off, I suppose, but I'm going in with 0
I'm
expectations.
going into this with low expectations because I'm not very excited for it, but maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe I'll like it.
Yeah, I like
Andre is excited.
I like the Hollywoodization of like cartoon
I
characters.
don't.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, Donald Duck, he's got a real job and he goes to a studio every day and he puts on his sailor hat and then he starts cursing in duck language or whatever. That's very funny to me. So I want to see what they do with all that. And
This is a movie, right?
this
Not
is
a
movie.
TV show.
It's not a TV show. Yes, correct. One movie.
I don't know if I can do more TV shows, which is hilarious because we're going to.
It's an hour and a half
And
long.
it's so hard.
Yeah, exactly. So tune in for that. That'll be out in 2 weeks. Keep up with us in the meantime. Like I said, we're at the Walt Vault Pod. Leave your Moon Knight review in the comments. You can slide into our DMs if you want to, or you can send an email to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com. Make sure you're subscribed on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. We're on YouTube and Spotify and Stitcher and Apple Podcasts, of course. Go there, leave us a review, a rating. That helps us rise in the algorithm rankings. You can help support us even further by sending some money to us over on Patreon.com. That's patreon.com/The Walt Vault, where you can get a little bit of extra content or some unedited content as well. I'm going to start putting up our explicit versions of these reviews on Patreon. So if you want to hear us completely unfiltered, go there for that.
I don't know about completely unfiltered,
Well, you know,
but
we're still
But
a little filtered, but less bleepy at the very least. And that has been it for this week, you guys. We will see you next time for some Chippendale goodness. The vault is now closed.
Ay, ay,